Welcome into the Tournament of Champions, coming to you live from Brigham City, Utah. And we've got our senior men's double gold medal match between Staub and Booth coming out of the winner's bracket, and Burr and Kennedy out of the consolation bracket. Dane Stewart joined by Matt Staub and Randy Coleman. And Matt, Randy, this should be a really interesting gold medal match. A lot of talent, skill out on the pickleball court for this gold medal match.
Oh man, oh man, oh man. That's for sure.
I'll say, Randy, you've had the opportunity to run into both of these today. Skill level, yeah, up there?
It's up there,
okay.
yeah. I still put Steve Kennedy at the top, coming out of South Florida, Fort Lauderdale area, and a great job he's doing there. So, Brian Staub, also your father, out of Florida.
How about that?
How about that?
So do you think that they will stay away from Steve Kennedy if he is the best of the four?
Yeah, actually you do. So what you're going to do is you're going to make as nice of a guy as Scott Burr is, you're going to make that guy dink.
Make that guy beat you?
Yeah, you're going to make him beat you. He's got a great reach, but you got to make him move. So you got to make him move side to side. You really don't want Steve to get involved, as you don't want Kevin Booth to get involved.
No, you do not.
So your father is a solid player, but what you want to do is you're going to go to him, because what's going to hurt you is Kevin Booth. He's got that slap backhand, and a lot of power. So it's going to be interesting to see who they go to. We've got Byron Frezzo, your certified referee, this afternoon here in Brigham City. It's a hot one here. Do we know the temperature right now?
We could find it out.
We're going to find out.
We'll ask the truck, and I'm sure they can chime in.
We could ask Jeeves, I'm sure.
Right?
We're going 89.
You know, it's been interesting. We've had a couple gold medal matches today, and there's been a good breeze in all of them, but between all the games, it's died down a little bit. So we'll see if Mother Nature realizes we're ready to kick off this gold medal match and picks things up. That's helped to cool it down, but right now it's sun's bearing down on the court, not a lot of wind. It is pretty warm.
No, it's actually wind conditions are really nice right now. We saw in the senior women's finals, the wind was gusting, from the south, and it was 12 plus, kind of playing havoc on the ladies trying to find their rhythm. But we've got perfect conditions right now at the 2019 Tournament of Champions in Brigham City, Utah. We've got center court action coming your way, that's for sure. It's kind of cool watching your father play there on center court, isn't it?
It is fun. I'll tell you. So let's talk X's and O's real quick. Yeah. So you're saying avoid Steve. Let's go, Brian, on this side. If you can choose in a perfect scenario, who's playing head-to-head, who's playing cross-court, where are the matchups that you're looking for? Having played both of them.
As who's coming out on top? Or?
Well, not who's coming out. So let's just say if Brian Staub's over here, let's say he's playing that side. Do you want Scott Burr playing head-to-head with him, or do you want Scott Burr over here going cross-court?
Oh, man. Your father is being Brian Staub. He's going to dink with you all day long. You want to dink with Brian, he's going to dink with you all day long. So if Scott Burr is going cross-court with Scott Burr, then most likely your father is going to keep that ball low, and he's going to keep dinking. If Scott Burr and Brian Staub are going cross court with each other, most likely they're going to get into a dink battle. Your father, Brian Staub, most likely will win that one. And if Steve Kennedy is in front, anytime you're trying to pull the trigger on Steve and he's right in front of you, most likely he's going to win that battle. So if I was playing this head-to-head, I would probably want to be cross-court with your father playing dinks with Scott Burr. Just keep moving, having your father moving him around. That's most likely what I would want. That's the scenario. So it's gonna be interesting to see the stack. For those of you who don't know, you want to keep, the power on one side of the court or the other. So it is going to be kind of interesting to see how they play that out.
So in that same breath, let's say we're going cross court with Scott Burr.
Correct.
Would you rather him going forehand to forehand or backhand to backhand?
He being who?
Scott. So Scott and Brian Staub.
Okay.
Let's say you're Steve Kennedy and you're lining this up.
Yeah.
Do you want Scott going forehand to forehand, backhand to backhand, cross court?
Scott playing his backhand cross court is probably going to come out on the losing end of that battle, in my opinion. So
we'll see how they line up to start.
Yeah.
Interesting. The X's and O's at the beginning is always kind of what you draw it up, and then we'll see how it plays out.
Hey, we'll
Ready
see.
to go here. Booth underway, 0-0-2 in our gold medal match.
So this is what we were talking about. This is that backhand setup we were talking about.
So your father's going to do this all day long, right?
Yep.
Leaves that ball high, but he watches it go wide. And he calls it in right off the bat.
A little showmanship off the bat.
Your father's a good sport.
I thought it was in. Was it in?
I thought it was in.
Was it in?
Okay.
Maybe he was thinking of fishing or something else. We've had Brian on other matches this week. We talked about rodeo. We talked about fishing. We talked about hunting. We talked about pretty much everything at the.
So he got you off topic pretty quick.
Here we go. That ball was out. They played it, but your father's got great hands. Pushes Scott Burr back. And then a forehand miss into the net. Uncharacteristic for your father, but now the stack is different. I mean, the matchup is different. Now they're playing head-to-head.
I was going to say, it doesn't look like they're going to stack to start. They're going to play straight up and see what happens.
Yep, we'll see. 0-1-1, game one. Nice touch. Here they are, head-to-head. Scott Burr.
I think from Burr and Kennedy, that's a great lob.
That's a great lob. I mean, right off the bat. Oh.
Yeah, I can see.
Zero, 1-2, game one, best of three here.
I think you're going to see a lot of third ball drives from Kennedy and Burr, whereas on the flip side, I think Staub and Booth are going to just softly drop most of their thirds.
Yeah.
See how that plays out. Good lead.
Yeah, well, Steve Kennedy hadn't seen a ball in a little while. First one, he got excited.
Grip and rip, baby.
Yeah.
So side out, service over with Staub. 1-0-1.
208 viewers watching on the USAPA Facebook live stream.
Hey, if you have any comments, questions, hit us up.
Hey, right? Ben Johns is watching. What kind of comments? He's here on the property.
What's up, Ben?
That's a great lob.
That's another good lob. I did not expect that to be the shot of choice walking into this match, but here we are.
Uncharacteristic from Kevin Booth. Unforced error. Tracked the lob down, but fell short.
Moves it to the second serve. Coming from Booth.
Good return. Good drop.
And there you. That's a nice shot. I still want to put your father on cross court from Scott.
Yep.
Because. You know, Kevin Booth, I mean, his hands, you want him to cut those balls off. Kevin's going to call that ball long. I saw it land on the line. In my opinion, I saw it hit line, but
linesperson says line as well. We are 1-1.
And we get a little snicker from Kevin Booth, but no contest. Doesn't contest it. And not even close, but it did hit the net. Made it all the way to the net on that one. Just kidding. Now you can see the breeze is picking up, so now it's kind of swirling, so they may be trying to... Oh, great eye.
At the back of Staub and Booth, that pairing in the black and blue shorts. Kennedy and Burr in the blue and white shorts.
That's such a tough ball now, so the paddles have gotten so good that in no man's land, you just have to block your way and just be soft through there. Now, you get a ball up in no man's land, you just swing at it.
All right.
And you're seeing that more and more, and Burr won a cheap point like that. Tough to negate. You've got to sacrifice pace if you're at the net to just hit it at their feet instead of trying to keep them deep.
Right. 1-2-1, game one, best of three.
Staub able
Here we
to come
go.
up now.
Look, both players being patient.
Ooh, made it over. I wasn't
Nice
certain that one was
touch.
going to get there.
Good pickup.
Yeah, good reset. All four of these players have the defensive touch. Something I haven't seen from Steve Kennedy, and that's 2 lobs in the beginning of the match. That one not paying off for him. Well short. What do you call that? A daub, right?
A daub.
Dinking a lob.
What I'd like to see is, we talked about it with the younger age group. If you can Ernie, so when you had Staub and Burr playing down the line, if either of them can just Ernie or just show that you're going to do it, go around the net, it makes them go cross court. It makes them go to the partner. So that's something I'd look for later in this match.
Right. Yeah, what you want to do, being the aggressor on one team or the other, you want to make that other team uncomfortable, whatever role that you're playing in that team. So we'll see how that plays out. Nice touch from Kevin Booth. And again, we're going to the backhand of Scott Burr. So that's the vulnerable spot. Not to call him out on it, but...
Staub kin to Alan Staub is the question in the chat. Yes, so Alan Staub is Brian Staub's brother.
How about that?
Yeah. For whoever is asking.
Got a family reunion going on.
Yeah, exactly. Jack is asking. Jack, where are you from? Any comments?
My guess would be Virginia.
Ooh, nice. Another one. A little bit of confusion in the middle on that one.
Side out, so service coming over with Steve Kennedy. 2-4-1 here.
Game 1, best of 3. See the drive coming? Not a whole lot of power we're seeing from any of the drives so far.
They're against the wind on that side at the moment. We'll see the changes on the other side.
And then we have Lindsay Newman. Lindsay Newman has a question. Are we ever going to see a father-son Staub team at a tournament? Oh my gosh, called out on the air. Lindsay,
if
great question.
You want to see two people about to tear each other's heads off, then yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We did it back in the day, and tensions flare up, you could say. The old family playing, which is a testament to the Newmans playing together, by the way. The old brother-sister, because I know what that family playing can be like.
Well, or the Waters, mother-daughter.
Yeah,
right?
mother-daughter, exactly.
But I was going to say, I've heard that duo was paired up behind the mic before.
That's also true.
So
that's also true.
You just got to get in the right setting.
You might see it a little bit later if you stick around.
Yeah. Lee Waters and Annalie are certainly committed to each other for the tournaments to come, that's for sure.
I'll tell you what, winning helps. Cures all ailments.
Yeah.
Here we go.
It's interesting because Annalie was in the women's singles, and her mom was her coach.
Right.
So they,
one of the longest points of the match so far.
Yeah, this has been a good battle.
And again, head-to-head with Brian Staub and Scott Burr.
Who's the one to break out of this dinking?
Who's going to pull the trigger? It's not actually in...
Set it up how he wanted.
He had it. He did it. He had it set up just how he wanted. In the air.
So that's that 1-2 backhand flick down the line, not trying to get a winner on the first one, just setting up that forehand in the middle on the second one. That's why they're avoiding Kevin right now, is because he does that better than anybody at this age. Let's see.
All right, short return. Here we go. Oh, shoot.
So they did switch up Burr and Kennedy. Kennedy now on the backhand side.
Right. Yeah. And that's a great lob again. That's something new. I have not seen.
But a great reset from Kevin.
Good reset, yeah. Did everything they needed to do. A nice lob from Steve Kennedy doesn't pay off.
So is that an attempt to get out of that dinking battle in the no volley zone, or what's the strategy behind that lob in that scenario?
Put your opponents back again.
Okay.
So if you've got that shot in your arsenal, you want to get those opponents off the line, because instantly what happens, you push them off the line. Even if they try to reset that lob, you're still going to try to catch that ball out of the air and keep your opponents back. And, you know, one of the key strategies in this game is keep your opponents back. Here we go.
A little bit of controversy there. What was, anyone hear what was going on?
6-2-2.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I didn't see the controversy, but it is 6-2 in game one.
Yeah, I don't know if he was making a comment around encroachment in the no volley zone or what, but I hadn't seen anything. The referee didn't either.
Well, it's not uncharacteristic to have controversy if Kevin Booth's on the court. Nothing. Oh, and a great one
flick.
ball. So here we go back to that no volley zone kitchen play. One lifted ball and put away from Kevin Booth down the middle for another point. 7-2, game one.
Yeah. Been a big lead built up here by Staub and Booth.
Good return by Steve.
Here we go. Keep your opponents back. Yeah. He did at his feet. Couldn't handle it. Forced error, though.
That'll be the side out. Service over with Burr and Kennedy. Trying to claw back into this game number one. Again, they came out of the consolation bracket, so they've got to take 2 out of the 3. And if they do that, then it's a game to 15. So Tall Mountain ahead, but a couple players certainly capable of climbing it.
Nice drive. 244 viewers and a short lob.
That's the thing about the lob. I mean, you're just constantly playing with fire. He's going to hit a few. There's no doubt about it. But even, you know, if you're looking for it at all, It's just so tough to put it over them because with the kitchen zone, you don't even have to hit a very hard overhead. As long as you get it down at their feet, the next ball you're going to be able to put away.
Well, and is that just a case of not getting enough air under the lob and allowing the player to jump outside that? I mean,
it's the opportunity and using it actually at the wrong time. So if you're in a position where you're forward and you're actually catching that ball even sometimes out of the air, you want to catch your opponents off guard.
Good defense.
And
that one just rolled on Booth.
Yeah, good job of Kennedy and Burr keeping the opponents back. Goes to their advantage and a point.
So now Burr's on the forehand side, Kennedy on the backhand side. We'll see if this plays out any differently.
Oh, we had a kitchen, and that was missed. Steve Kennedy was over the line in that one. Yeah, almost had a head, but that's okay. We're all human. 7-3-1, game one, best of three. Here we are, Brian Staub and Scott Burr cross court from each other.
Oh, the net betrayed Kevin on that one.
Oh, it did. Not a fan he is of that. Net cord roll not going in his favor. Second server. Ernie Medina watching from California. Thank you everybody for joining in. 229 viewers right now online across the world.
He's sticking to that lob.
I tell you what, honestly, this is a little bit surprising. Even, me playing on the senior tour, seeing this many lobs from, even both sides.
Steve has such a good, forehand that he can pull the trigger on it. It's interesting that he's choosing the lob over, hitting it at a body or hitting it at a shoulder.
Right. Being against the wind, if they feel like they're able to use that to their advantage, that ball was out, played.
Good hands.
And your father, Brian Staub, staying forward on that one nicely. Backhand at the feet of Scott Burr, couldn't handle it. 9-3-2. Game one in control of Booth and Staub over Kennedy and Burr.
So if you're Steve Kennedy and Scott Burr, what would you do differently right now?
Right off the bat, I'd call a timeout.
Okay, initially timeout, good call.
Yeah.
And in that timeout, what would you discuss?
We need to get Steve needs to get more involved. So whatever we do, we need to get Steve Kennedy more involved with the creation of what he can do, being the great hands and background of tennis. That ball fell short. That ball was, he can't see it. I saw green, but we're going to wait and see what happens.
Line judge couldn't see it.
Yeah, he was behind the play. And
do we have a call from the other side?
Nope.
Okay. So I believe they are, am I correct, or are they calling that ball wide?
That ball, yes, wide.
Yep.
Okay. I saw green, but regardless, back in play. 4-9. Nice hands. And just, again, ball left too high.
So I said this in one of the earlier matches I was calling with Daniel and Matt and Kyle and Ben, and whoever is seeing the most balls, so if your partner's getting picked on, the first thing I want to ask them is, hey, what do you feel most comfortable doing? So if you're Scott Burr right now, or you're Steve Kennedy, you go to Scott and say, look, where do you want to play? Do you want to be head-to-head with Brian? Do you want to be head-to-head with Kevin? Do you want to go cross-court? What do you want to do? Let's do that. Right now it just seems like they're just kind of floating along and letting Brian and Kevin dictate what they want to do.
Right.
Well, they just called the timeout, and maybe that's the conversation they're having and trying to get realigned here with a 9-4 lead for Booth and Staub.
Yeah, we do have a timeout. We appreciate your comments and questions online right now. 248 viewers watching online around the world. 2019 Tournament of Champions, Brigham City, Utah. Beautiful day. It's a breezy day, 12 miles an hour plus, blowing to the north. But again, a beautiful day. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we've had some great gold medal matches. We've got one more coming up, the men's doubles. We'll have that match for you immediately after this one, including the medal presentations for both the senior and men's doubles coming up immediately after their respective matches. Is time coming back in here.
Time in, and Matt, a viewer online, is appreciating the comments online for strategies and tips for others watching. So you want to get a free lesson, just watch online right now. And again, going with the Staub, Brian anticipated. So once again, we have an opportunity of you're just utilizing a tool way too much, and it's just anticipated and it's expected now. So he's seeing it. You know,
I didn't realize Papa Staub had that kind of hop.
He was off the ground. He was actually.
And he's done it a couple times. I mean, they've tried that lob.
You could have got a few pieces of paper under there.
So,
as he dumps that backhand. But no, I mean, like, if you're going to toss up the lob, especially on two righties, it's got to be from this side, the near side of the court, because you're putting it away from the righty who's in front of you. Tossing it up from the backhand side, it just leaves you so vulnerable.
Yeah. Goes for the offense on that one, pushing Staub back. Scott Burr with that great frame reach, does the dog walk across the top tape and falls short.
So even there, even if you don't think Scott Burr has as good of a backhand dink as Brian Staub, switch it up, try something. He's won 2 points doing that.
Exactly.
Do something different.
Yeah.
So, you know,
because
I'm glad
right
to see
now
that they're doing
working.
that.
Yeah.
One of the other things to note, and Randy, I know you're big on this. We had a chance to talk before the match, but I feel like, and I'm a novice, but I feel like Staub and Booth have done a much better job of working up to that no volley zone quicker in the rallies than Kennedy and Burr have been able to.
Correct. But even in that exchange right there, you see how forward Steve Kennedy was.
Yeah.
Even just anticipating and reacting. He's so far out in front, you know, making contact, and it really puts a lot of pressure on your opponents, making so much forward contact on those balls. Scott Burr a little late on that, a little late on that again. We'll see how it plays out.
Look at him just forcing him back.
So the control of the point, you can watch it play out in a matter of one exchange. A little bit late on this side, everybody's forward over here, and they capitalize on the
I think what you're seeing is a difference in more of a crisp third ball getting you to the net, maybe a little more backspin, a little tighter to the net to where you can't do as much with it as they're coming in. Kennedy and Burr have opted to hit hard on a lot of their third balls, and I think that's kind of what you're seeing. A little tougher to get to the net that way if you're not hitting it really, really well. I think Booth and Staub have done a better job so far of third balls and getting in, for sure.
Well, apparently you have, oh my gosh. Well, that was a good ground rule double on that one, deep.
There's game one. 11-5 goes to Booth and Staub in this gold medal match. We got a minute here between games, and Staub and Booth one game away from taking the gold medal. Dane Stewart, Randy Coleman, Matt Staub. I mean, we've talked a little bit about some of the approach. One game in the books. What do you look for Burr and Kennedy to do differently? I mean, obviously, you both have mentioned the lob, been a little surprised at that play, but what's something that they can try to do differently here in game number 2 based off of that first game?
For me, it's easy, and we, you know, me and Daniel Moore ran this play at a few nationals, and that is if you're the weaker player, let's, you know, whoever that might be, if we're going cross court, they need, let's just say Steve and Scott need to toss in an Ernie.
Yeah.
Scott, who's seeing all the balls, needs to run around the post and just show that I'm going to take the line away. You cannot have this.
Right.
It's going to make Steve Kennedy see some balls, change up the whole dynamic of the match. So, as a weaker player, myself, talking to me, if you jump that kitchen, you're taking away that whole side. You're saying you can't come this way, go the other way. So I think, you know, even at this level, that needs to start happening.
Yeah, for sure. So I think Steve Kennedy needs to get much more involved in this. Even if he puts himself, you know, out of position, he's a dominant player. He needs to show the other team, you know, that that he means business and he wants to come over and kind of take control. And then that would be the opponent's turn to then get him back where he belongs on his side. But I just don't think Steve Kennedy is getting himself involved or getting the shot selection. So if he's going to tell his partner Scott Burr to create those opportunities so that he can get involved more in the middle, Steve needs to take over.
The wind will be at the back of Burr and Kennedy. Does that, based off of that first game, do you see that shifting as an advantage or disadvantage for either of these two teams as we switch ends of the court?
I don't. I mean, the only difference is going to be, you know, if Steve and Scott are driving third balls, they might be a little more apt to go long. But other than that, I don't think it's going to change too much.
Right. Brian Staub does have a slice third shot most of the time. So when he's lifting that ball, ooh, nice, little bit high. Scott Burr says good night right at the feet of Kevin Booth.
I think
and you have a point.
If you're Steve and Scott, you need to isolate. Scott needs to start playing head to head, just doing a repeatable X and O that you can just do point in and point out and say, look, this is the grind we're gonna do. This is what it is. Like, he needs to play down the line to Brian all day.
And again, so what you just saw just now, you saw Steve Kennedy try to come in and take control. There you go. Round the post, backhand winner from Engaged Pickler.
Steve trying to rile up the crowd.
Riling up his fan club.
Points back behind the tent. How about that, though? I mean, you go around the post and that ball low the entire way. Very difficult for Booth to make any play on it.
Jeff Warnick's back there. I'm sure you get him going, and it's going to be a fun time here.
Get a few beers in that guy.
Unforced error. Brian Staub quickly 3-0 game 2. And Steve Kennedy just gave a mimic of a paddle frisbee. Shall we say Jeff Warnick at Nationals? But nice forehand and defense.
A little
called out.
Yeah. Good thing he
brings us to 4-0.
Let that
Are we
go.
on 1 or 2?
2.
We're on 2.
Yep.
Laurie Hitchens said, Matt Staub, apparently you've got a new career in a podcast, so
if it pays the bills, I'm in.
There you go. And a great split.
How about the fire Burr and Kennedy have come out with? This is the first service of the game. I mean, they started 0-0-2, and they've reeled off 5.
They needed this for sure. I mean, if they're going to double dip, they need a quick start here, so they're off.
Is that a timeout point?
For Brian and Kevin?
Yeah.
Yeah, not a bad idea at all. I think, you know, I'm a big fan of stopping the bleeding before it happens too much. So, yeah, if I'm them, I'm calling a timeout at this point.
You got timeouts, use them. We got one of the best watching. Marson is watching online from California.
Marson, what's up, bud?
He is saying Scott's got to play to Brian more. Well, what part of Brian are we going to play more? But one of the best, giving some advice.
If you're Scott right now, pulling trigger. If you're Scott right now and you're playing Brian head to head, you keep going head to head and you Ernie him.
Yeah.
Do it one time and it's going to make Brian go to Steve.
There you go.
But
there you go. Just make him uncomfortable.
0-5-2. Boy, how big would this be to get a side out for Burr and Kennedy?
There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
And Steve should have come over and helped his partner out. We'll see how this plays out. A miss hit.
That's okay, though. I mean, even though Brian knows that he's capable of doing it, that he is willing and will do it, that's at least putting in his head that I need to go cross to Steve more.
Absolutely. Agatha Tran watching from Houston, Texas, and Dominic in Florida. Thank you, everybody, for watching online. USAPA Facebook live stream. Center court action, Brigham City, Utah, 2019 Tournament of Champions, 234 viewers.
2-5-2.
There we go.
Good return by Steve.
Falling
deep.
backwards a little bit on that one.
Good deep return.
Yeah, good deep return. Brian falling backwards into the net.
5-2-1 now.
Marson says Kevin's touch is too good. Might have something to do with that trampoline he's holding in his hand. I don't know. Karen Butera says, the announcers are great. Thanks for all the efforts. It's really great commentary. Back to the action. Good deep, pushing both players back.
One great coverage by Staub that time to come over.
Here we go. Brian's there.
Good dig.
And
wow,
whoa.
What a pick up.
There wow.
Steve throws the paddle, throws the guns up.
Oh, man.
Rides the donkey. What's next, baby? Give me something.
Oh, that was impressive. I was able to keep that alive.
He is a showman. I will give him that.
And you called it great, Matt. Scott jumping the corner on that one, seizing the opportunity.
Yep.
It's only going to make Brian and Kevin respect that move. Marcin says, "I love your dad." I don't know what that means. Is there something we need to know?
I'm gonna leave that between them.
Okay.
Explain that later, Marcin.
All right. All right.
Wishing Marcin a quick recovery as well. Hope he's back. Tournament's better with him for sure.
Oh man, it's a beautiful thing watching Marcin on the pickleball court.
Beautiful,
great hands from
beautiful
both
or
sides.
Terrifying, one of the two. Depends on if you're playing him or not.
If you're a partner or not, exactly.
From the best seat in the house, it's a beautiful thing, right?
Andrea Coop, watching online. Had a great weekend here. That ball sails long. You see the sweat beading off Scott's neck. You know, these guys can take hydration breaks too, and sometimes you just need to use all the tools in your arsenal, but you want to keep the momentum going.
So timeout.
Again, exactly. So see, yeah, you got 2 quick unforced errors. Even if you're going to call it a hydration break, use whatever you got. You just need to break up the momentum. So 2 unforced errors, and we are at
4-6-2.
There you go.
If Staub and Booth get a point here, and you're Kennedy and Burr, you have to call timeout.
There you go.
It has to be.
And you heard it. Timeout. Quickly from Scott Burr. We're in game 2.
Makes me look good.
Oh.
Right on cue, baby.
Nothing like predicting those timeouts.
So what do you guys like to do in a timeout? I mean, timeout taken, what is your preferred method? We've seen some teams that have come together and some that just kind of take, 30 seconds to get themselves right. What is your guys' preferred method in a timeout?
I mean, I'm a big X and O guy, so if it's, hey, what we're doing is working, we're just not finishing, that's one thing. Or if, look, we need to do something different. This is not working. We need to put you in front of this person. We need to put you across from this person. We need to be third ball dropping here and crossing here. Who's hot, who's not, that sort of thing. But most of the time, it's not just a quick towel off and get back in there, slugger.
So you like to engage your partner, because we've seen the Newmans, and you'll see the separation of the corners, and they just go create space.
Yeah.
They need a moment just to kind of resettle. So the chemistry is different between
Lindsay, comment in and tell me what that's about. Tell me what the separation's
She
about.
probably won't. Troy Kilner.
I'll ask her when I get home.
Time in 5-6-2. We have action back. So Kingsland, Georgia, watching online, 235 viewers.
So I think the other thing you've seen now is that Booth and Staub have not hit as good third ball drops. So it's giving Kennedy and Burr a lot more opportunities, free points, cheap points.
Short return.
Good drop by
And
Burr.
that allows what just happened from that short return. You could hear the feet from here. You could hear Scott's shuffling of his feet. He saw that opportunity. Short ball allowed him to come in and just put the ball right back at Brian Staub's feet. Sees that opportunity. Keep those service returns back.
Oh. You gotta die for that.
Exactly, right? Man, what kind of partner is he? He didn't even sacrifice his knees.
I mean, this is the finals. Like,
exactly.
You're not gonna dive now. When are you gonna do it?
Oh, a little matrix going on there from...
Good move by Steve, but Scott pulling the trigger a little too early there. I mean, I know they're up, and you can kind of play with house money right now, but still a little early in the point.
Oh, house money. Do we have a gambling man here?
Believe it or not, no.
Really?
No. Once again, I'll refer back to Newmans for the gambling. They won't play any rec games if it's not for money. So
another point, 9-5-2 for Burr and Kennedy here in game number 2. They've got to win it.
I know. We're trying to get to 3. It's the best of 3 on center court here.
Side out.
Daytona Beach watching. Joseph, thanks for joining in. Cartersville, Georgia. 240 viewers. Nice touch.
Good drop.
Staub. Here we go. Oh, kind of comes behind him, trying to reset.
Another good drop.
Gets the trickle. And again, all players working right now.
So even there,
Staub,
if he plays down the line to Steve, I'd like to see him Ernie just to take that shot away.
Something. There it is.
Good point. And if Steve's a funny guy. I know him pretty well, but I would tell him, put that lob in the trunk and leave it there. Do not bring it back out. Just getting burned with that too many times.
Right.
Well, they were fortunate because Brian had a chance to finish, and they actually defended it really well earlier. Same rally.
Ontario, Canada online with us. Thanks for joining in. And leaves that ball high. Catches Booth into the body, couldn't extend, falls short. Second server. 6-9-2, game 2. Needed for Kennedy and Burr to tie this one up. Want more action here on center court, right?
Good.
And a swing and a miss goes in Steve Kennedy's
Better to be
favor.
lucky than good, right?
There you go. Must have gone to church last Sunday. I'm sure he'll be going to church tomorrow, right? It's kind of a thing here.
I heard he's going to the rodeo tonight.
Okay.
I heard that's on the schedule.
That is on the menu.
Good touch. More people tuning in. Mike Barnes of Selkirk Sport, your presenting sponsor here.
Big point here. Burn Kennedy need this point.
9-6. They've been there a while.
To get them to 10.
That ball was too high.
That's
and
huge.
A point. Huge.
So game point for Burr and Kennedy. 10-6-2.
Here we go. Take it, he says.
Good drop.
Oh, and Burr was there. He regained, resetting, just couldn't extend far enough.
All right, let's see if Staub and Booth can put the pressure on him here, get a few points.
6-10, 1, game 2. First game going to Kevin Booth and Brian Staub.
That's a great shot.
It's just a great ball.
That's a great shot.
It's a great ball. And that's one thing that they should have done in the first game is just put more pressure at the right time.
You know, when you run around that backhand and you move to forehand, it's so tough because you can inside out dink that backhand so deep to the backhand side. So when you actually pull the trigger and go through the middle, there's that Ernie we've been talking about.
Yep. Yeah, you just called it.
Just such a tough shot to defend. So, yeah, thank you, Scott, making me look good once again. So keep doing that.
Game point, 10-6-1 for Burr and Kennedy.
Game point, Josh Elliott from Florida. Engage. And here we go. Power and a cutoff. And Burr is really wanting this game. Now resetting.
There's that inside-out forehand dink we're talking about, right back to the middle.
Just wide.
You can just feel how hyped up he is, wanting to, maybe should have told his partner, take a breath there for a minute, but he almost pulled it off, inches away from pulling that one off.
Yeah. Second service.
Here we go. Could see the power coming. Back in our cross-court exchange. And there you have it.
Game 2.
11-6 to Burr and Kennedy. We're tied up 1 game apiece here in our gold medal match in the senior men's double pro division. Dane Stewart, Randy Coleman, and Matt Staub. Wow. 2 games in, 11-5, 11-6. Feels like Burr and Kennedy, boy, playing really confident in that second game.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a complete 180. You can feel the confidence. The strategy changed. They put the lob in the trunk, so to speak. And actually, you know, coming around and putting more pressure. Scott Burr was doing, running around that forehand, and you know, it worked out in their favor in game 1 for sure.
You know, one thing that's tough to see from this level, obviously, we can look at the flag and see the win. So this side has won both games. I'm wondering if that side, whether it's dinking, third balls, has a little more authority just with the win. Sometimes even just that little bit can make it brutal on returns, on everything you're trying to do when you're against the wind, just that little bit. So,
and that little bit is what it is because the wind has picked up another 2 to 3 miles an hour. So you can see it gusting even a little bit harder to the north at 10 miles an hour now. It doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it was only at 7 and 8 earlier in game 1. So we have, and Steve, hi Tara. Steve Kennedy says back in Florida, giving a shout out to his wife.
Tara says we want more dance moves.
Hey.
Riding, lawnmower.
Scott Burr has just announced he's giving away free pizza to everybody here. That is not true. Maybe at Nationals. Scott Burr, a great guy. I really appreciate that guy. Free pizza, Byron Frezzo. Man, we like seeing this guy on the court. And we're back in game 3. Line judges.
Mention the win. That's left to right on your screen. So
good call.
The
Thank you
backs
so much.
now of Staub and Booth. The win to the back of them. As we start game number 3 here.
So you called it too. I think Scott looked, so when Scott's playing that backhand side, he looked actually a lot better when he was running around and just hitting that inside out forehand, hitting that little flick. Now,
way more comfortable.
If your opponent is giving you weak enough dinks to be able to do that, then yes, that's great. So on the other side of the ball, Brian needs to hit better. See, that's a floating dink. He needs to hit crisper, better dinks in order to prevent Scott from doing just that.
Exactly. And what do you need if you're going to run around that forehand just like he's doing right there? You need your partner covering that middle. So you got Steve Kennedy, one of the best.
So on the flip side, same. So Burr runs around that forehand. Brian Staub hits that forehand covering in the middle. That is his main job. So Booth's only job is to cover the line.
Right.
He cannot get beat line. If Burr runs around that forehand, Staub has middle and everything else. Booth only covers the line.
And the only thing to add to that is I haven't seen Burr go down the line yet on that shot.
Good point.
So that's not something that he is going to have in his mind. So as soon as you see that ball, you have to respect it. If you haven't seen it, then you may allow yourself a little more leeway to stay off of that line. But so on the flip side of this, Kevin Booth is not involved near as much, and that's why, in my opinion, game 2 went in the favor. We got a backhand exchange going on right now.
I'm surprised you haven't seen more of this, honestly.
Yeah, running around.
No, this backhand to backhand with Staub.
Nice.
And Burr.
Yeah.
Good reset.
Great reset from Kevin Booth. Does what he does best. You could see the itch, and Burr
Here we go, back at it.
Run around.
So, interesting enough, Scott Burr, a taller player, he wants to reach in there and take it out of the air. Brian, being a smaller player, is willing to back off the line in order to hit an aggressive dink like that. He's okay with giving up space as long as he hits a good dink.
Yeah. So Scott Burr, it worked out in his favor. He left that ball up a little bit too much down the line. Kevin Booth was there for possible put away, but Steve Kennedy in the perfect position. So that's just partners moving into the right position, hopefully to engage that defense. Worked out in Kennedy and Burr's favor. Great deep serve right there.
That's right on the line.
I mean, if you're Kennedy and Burr looked very comfortable going backhand to backhand. I would stack and keep that going until something changes. So I'm interested, that they are just playing straight up right now.
So who do you think called this switch of having Burr and Staub straight on head to head? Which side do you think called that?
Well,
they haven't done anything different.
They haven't changed. I honestly, I think their mentality was we're going to play straight up for the time being, so I don't think they consciously said let's do that or don't do that again.
Derek Randall says, do we know who's playing in the upcoming men's doubles? So our
I do not.
Men's Open Pro. We're going to get you that information. Thank you for the question. Hella Spars watching online. 284 people watching USAPA's Facebook live stream. 2019 Tournament of Champions. It's the last day. Closing in a beautiful weekend we've had.
A side out here. Service over to Booth and Staub. And it's been a big run by Kennedy and Burr over the last couple games. See if Booth and Staub can put together points here.
Marson comments in, he likes Scott head-to-head with Brian, and I'm fine with that. Whatever you decide to do, but keep running that play. I don't like how they keep changing it up and changing the dynamic. I want to see something that Scott's comfortable doing, whether that's head-to-head or whether that's cross-court. Make it happen.
Right. We got Brazil watching right now. How about that?
Good return from Scott.
0-2-2. High ball. Keeping... And there you have it.
A little Ernie. Great pickup.
Scott's so tall, I'm pretty sure he had 1 foot behind the kitchen line and 1 foot on the side of the Ernie there with no problem. That ball falls short. Unforced error from Steve Kennedy.
First point for Booth and Staub. 1-2-2. one long.
So if you're Steve, you have to turn and tell Scott that that's fine. That's what he wants. He's hit that shot a few times. It keeps them honest. He might have hit that one long, but he's got to keep going for stuff like that if they're going to pull this match out.
Exactly. And to answer your question, the upcoming Open Men's Pro Doubles match is going to be Daniel Moore and Matt Wright against, imagine this, Kyle, lets that ball go, should have, but against Kyle Yates and none other than Ben Johns.
Boy, that ball just snuck down in play.
Little miscommunication
I thought it looked
there.
long at the net.
Yeah.
Personally, I thought it did, and then it fell in play. And
people are getting better and better. That's some of the toughest balls is those half-speed balls that pass you on your shoulder level.
Oh, gets lucky. Burr does on that.
Speaking of one dipping in,
jump.
how about that?
Oh my gosh! Against the wind, played in their favor on that one.
Yeah.
So there's Scott Ernieing again.
Yeah.
At least showing that he's going to do it.
It's so much
taking
pressure.
away that
right?
side. Yep.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, and it's working in their favor. That ball high from Scott Burr down the line.
Wow, good lob. Now, that is when you're playing two righties, that lob I was telling you about. When you're dragged out wide on two righties, you go up to the back left corner, and the person in front of you can't get it because it's too far, and the person in the back, it's their backhand overhead, so there's nothing they can do.
An accident that was beautifully executed.
Right. All right, so 3-3 on 2.
Yeah, you do have an awesome matchup coming, and this is a good one in itself. We're in game 3. We're locked.
Yeah.
And a trickler. He's there. Oh, no.
That was out.
Looked deep to me.
Yep.
And it was deep. Called deep. Puts too much ketchup and
Steve
mustard on
fakes
that
the
one.
racket smash.
So 3-3-1. Booth and Staub serving. No, we're going to get a timeout. I think a good call here, and I'd love to get your guys' thoughts because you've talked about, the way in which Burr and Kennedy have responded a little bit. So how can Staub and Booth attack now? Because you've mentioned the Ernie and introducing some doubt and some of that deking matchup at the net. What can Staub and Booth do now to try to create some offense? Because it feels like it's been a while since they've been able to be really aggressive.
I think, Brian Staub has the arsenal. He could put a little bit more pressure, create opportunities for his partner. Kevin Booth has some of the best hands in the game. He's not really involved right now, so most of the balls are going to Brian Staub. But I think he could get a little bit more offensive, at the right time.
I mean, the easiest X and O you can do if you're seeing all the balls, you're getting a little tight, is you can stack to where you are playing the backhand side. So if you were to Ernie, it's your forehand going over the net. You have more reach. It's a lot easier to hit. You have Staub. You stack him right there. Doesn't matter who's in front of him. You play down the line, you dink, and you Ernie, and it makes them go the other way. It makes Kevin Booth see some balls. So if you're seeing all of them, that is just the easiest 1-2.
So
play down the line and Ernie it. So right now they would need to stack and have Brian on the near side of the court.
And have Brian do exactly what Scott is doing.
Exactly.
Return the pressure, return the favor.
Exactly.
You heard it from Matt Staub, giving it his X's and O's. I love it. Great. Keeping Kevin Booth back, set up, put away, and you can feel the momentum. It's in total control right now. Even though it's a close game, you can just feel the momentum.
So here's that stack I was talking about.
There you go.
So we've got Brian on this side, head-to-head with Scott.
Now
this is what Marcin wants. This is what I want. I want to see them both Ernie.
But I'm not seeing that move happen. I don't know that it will, but he just drops back. Good movement on all around.
Wow, great pickup by Kevin.
A ball in.
Great reset. Steve Kennedy drops in. Engaged now. Oh, has it.
Crafty little startup from Kevin there. Just tough, that little inside-out slide forehand.
Right.
It doesn't look like much, but when you're looking at it at the net, it's just a different, very un-tennis look for people that haven't seen it. Especially Steve Kennedy coming from a very tennis background. Very anti-tennis shot.
Right. And that ball falls short from Brian Staub into the net.
Side out, going over with Burr and Kennedy. Talk about that momentum. Can they utilize that here to pull back even, maybe retake the lead?
Even though they are not up, I mean, you just 3-5-1, reserve. Nice hands from all around, and body shot surprises.
And that's tough from Kevin to get on top of that high backhand. Did a good job of getting over it.
Well, the trampoline in his hand helps, that's for sure, but it paid off. 3-5-2. I probably would have come forward on that follow-up as well from Steve. Another Staub. And again, why are we bringing that out of the trunk, as you say? Right? Leave it there?
Leave it there.
Well, and even that time, I think we saw something we saw back in that first game, and that was Staub and Booth able to keep Kennedy and Burr away from the no volley zone, at least for, you know, a third or fifth hit. A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk that point probably started with the drive. Kennedy opted to drive the third ball, didn't get them in efficiently, kind of held back. Yeah. And then I'm not saying that's what caused him to lob, but, you know, just sticking to that steady third ball just to get in is just, you know.
I'm not seeing the game plan just, you know, being followed through from, you know, what Steve and Scott kind of had going for them. But again, we are a close one here.
Yeah, 6-3 for Staub and Booth, and at 6 in game number 3. So we're going to switch ends, taking a little water break here for the players. Want to make sure they're hydrated.
A viewer asking, we have a body bag shout out. That was not quite a full body bag, aka of Glenn Lucy. I think Jeff Warnick is the copyrighted
do
person
explain
of that
what
one.
that is. News to me.
So we have a term that Jeff Warnick could probably fill in, who's here at the venue, fill in a little bit better. And when you get hit with that ball, Jeff Warnick has kind of created this term, calling it a body bag. Glenn Lucy, a player in Northern California, has kind of adopted that as in his own. So every time he plays and he hits you, he's going to yell body bag. But not quite a full one on that one. He had his hand on it.
We go to second service here, 6-3-2 for Booth and Staub.
It's a big point right here if they get to 7. Just that much more pressure. All right, side out. So Steve and Scott definitely need a few points here. If you've got one go-to play in the bag right now, X's and O's, Scott, are you putting him in front of Brian right now? Are you crossing him?
Oh, they seem to be.
Well, he's serving, so.
I want to see Brian getting, just more involved with, creating things. And
the other thing that we haven't even brought up is, Brian's been pretty steady through all this.
Steady. Yeah.
I think you can get Kevin Booth involved more. I mean, there's something to be said. If you are picking on somebody, that's all fine and great. But once they get in a rhythm, it can be tough to stop them. I've been there getting picked on all the time. But once you're feeling it, you're in the zone. So it might be time to switch it up to Kevin a little bit.
Well, like I always say, I mean, Brian Staub's going to dink with you all day long, especially when he gets in that groove. The win right now, not really a factor. It's up to 10, 12, and it died down right now. At the body. Kevin Booth was a little back, leaning back on that one. Return capitalized from Steve Kennedy. 3-6-2, game 3 decider.
So also, interestingly enough, the side with the win has won all the games and gotten to 6 first. So, that dink is just pushing that much further on your toes, that more aggressive with it. Seems to be the difference at this point.
And that last one might have been a great example, right? Because Booth has that backhand and it just hits the top and comes down, right? The wind's not there. That's probably getting over, allows him to get up to that no volley zone. Instead, it's a side out.
Good serve by Steve.
Nice.
Good third
drive.
ball.
And he stays with it. Backhand finish.
Burr raising the roof.
He is getting his.
There it is.
There was Jeff Warnick. Not a full body bag, but I heard Jeff in the background yelling body bag.
Hey, sometimes you allow leniency when things are getting started, right?
Yeah, exactly. And here we go. Quickly.
So if
look
I'm
at
Staub,
this. 2 quick
Staub
points.
and Booth, I want a timeout.
You got it, man. You have timeouts. Use them, even if it's hydration.
I've heard Brian Staub say you can't take them with you.
That's the truth.
Oof, up in the air on that one.
Good little trigger pull by
Burr
Brian there.
Yeah, good.
So on that backhand, he's got the option of the inside out to burst forehand, or you can roll it middle to the backhand. That time opting to roll middle.
Short return from Scott Burr, but not capitalized. And I thought he was looking and wanting a new ball, but we are good to go. Short serve. And back to the kitchen action.
Good reset by Kevin.
Okay, so, and resets. Ball left a little high. Good movement all around.
Too early.
Yeah, just too early. So maybe he's, I'm saying it, maybe he's feeling he needs to create, which he just tried to do not really at the prime opportunity of the point, but I think I can feel your father is needing to create opportunity, but we'll see how it plays out.
5-6-1.
Right on the line with the serve. Good ball by Burr. So we're seeing more hands battles now. That does not favor Booth and Staub. So they need to get back into that dink, slow it down. If it's just going to be a slap fest, I think that's going to favor Kennedy and Burr. That's what they want. They want to start it early and just start swinging.
I agree. Yep. Especially when it's in their strike zone. Make those tall people move.
So when they start that, what's the key to getting a reset then? I mean, when you start getting in that hand battle, right? I mean, what as a player do you do to take that out of the ball?
So we're stopping play at the moment.
The lines person is calling that ball out. Steve Kennedy saw it out. Play was continued, but so the referee could
to
not
answer your question
on
when you started, it used to be you were going to reset 90% of the time or more. Now, I would say 50-50. You might think about stepping back and blocking and resetting, but you also might be in a position to go ahead and take a swing at it. The paddles, the technology has gotten so good that you can get away with swinging off of a swing. So I'd say right now it's a 50-50.
5-0 run here for Burr and Kennedy. Game number 3. They're trying to force a game to 15.
I don't know where that timeout is, but it needs to be used.
Oh, a little too much Parmesan on that one. Goes long from Scott Burr.
So side out.
Staub is, which Staub are you referring to? If it is Brian, he does live down in the Orlando area. Pulling the trigger again.
Good eye.
Yeah, Brian Staub does live.
He lives in the Villages, yep.
Yeah, down.
So it's like an hour north of Orlando.
Yeah, a little bit north of Orlando.
Great
place.
Great call by Kevin there to call that out. Help Brian pull off of it. A point, 7-8.
It's getting tight. Getting tight.
Man, look at the exchange we have going on now.
Booth getting involved a little bit.
Who's going to pull this trigger? And
tries to go around, leaves that a little short. It's so tough. We saw Kennedy do it earlier. If you're going to hit it around that post shot and slice it, very difficult to do. You got to wait till it's at its lowest point and come over it. So if you try to hit that slice, it makes it almost impossible.
8-8-1.
Ball falls short. Second server.
Big point here. Let's see what they opt to do.
8-8-2.
Playing to Booth.
Oh,
good hands by Kevin. Wow.
Confusion in the middle. I thought that
Steve and Burr had what they wanted.
One of those where players thinking the other one was going to get it. Miscommunication cost them.
Yeah, one viewer making a comment thinking that the sun is playing a role. You can see the shadows on the court, so the ball coming in and out of the shadows can play a role.
Good inside-out forehand by Staub.
How about a match point?
Match point.
Yeah, here we go. 10-8-2, here it is.
They've been sticking on Burr's backhand. Let's see if they stay there. Wind gust a little bit there.
It did. Wrong timing.
Right on.
So new life for Burr and Kennedy here, 8-10-1.
If they're going to make a move, that's the time to do it.
Switched it up.
Oh. See, even there, I mean, I'm fine if they want to drive, but, you know, that drive kind of cost them getting into the net there. I think I would rather see a soft third ball, get to the net and see what happens. Get to neutral before you start making option to swing again.
Extremely important point for Burr and Kennedy right now. Look at all the action that, and that goes in their favor. Let cord. Kevin Booth thought he had the side out. Didn't happen. He's going to hold up his paddle, get a little shade on his face here.
That's one he may be thinking about again later. I mean, that's a great opportunity for him to get that side out. And
what an important point right here. Got to get to 10, right?
Wow.
Again, goes for the drive.
The lob comes back and bites him again.
Again.
Yep. How about Brian calling that out? And then once it bounced out, you could see him just breathe like, whew, I'm glad I was right on that.
Another match
They
point.
open the trunk of the pacer.
Yeah. I don't know how many locks I need to put on that thing.
Oh.
Match point again, 10-9-1.
Good dig.
Oh,
wow.
there it is.
There's you have
There
it.
are your champions. Brian Staub, Kevin Booth.
They take care of Burr and Kennedy and the win, finally. Someone got the betterment of the win. Staub and Booth, 11-5, 6-11, 9-11 over Burr and Kennedy. Randy, Matt, your final thoughts on this gold medal match?
Well played. I mean, you played them both. I think, you know, today, and there's so many good teams now, but I think today the best team did win, and that's typically how it goes. Who's playing best that day?
Yeah, they did. They did everything they could. They were doing all the things right. They were doing the X's and O's. I love that term. Scott Burr was trying to get more involved, put more pressure, jump around the corner. It just didn't play out. The steady rock Brian Staub on the upper end of that. He can keep that going all day. And the quick hands of Kevin Booth played out for the gold medal in this senior pro men's doubles on a Saturday afternoon here. 2019 Tournament of Champions in a beautiful Brigham City, Utah. And a beautiful job. Viewers, what do you think that a great job the city has done with all the banners with last year's winners? I think that's a great touch. Yep. The stadium seating that they've built here and the coverage shade. I mean, it just gets better and better here.
And they got big plans, new things coming in 2020 for this tournament as well. Continues to grow. But today it's the day for Brian Staub and Kevin Booth, your gold medal winners in the senior men's double pro division. We're going to have the medal ceremony coming up next here from the John A. Gullo Medal Court. All right, we've got our medal presentation for the senior men's double pro at the Tournament of Champions. Remember, this is a US APA Tier 1 sanctioned tournament. And we're here on John Gullo Championship Court. We want to thank Selkirk for being our presenting sponsor, as well as Paddle Tech and Pickleball Central for being gold level sponsors of this tournament. And now we'll announce our winners, our bronze medalists, Ken Lehman and Joe Frasca. And our silver medalists, Scott Burr and Steve Kennedy. And our gold medal winners, Brian Staub and Kevin Booth. And as part of winning the gold, Brian and Staub both receive a free pair of head shoes, the official footwear of the Tournament of Champions. And now John Gullo will present the Lanius Cup to Brian Staub and Kevin Booth. Here with Brian Staub and Kevin Booth, our gold medal winners in the senior men's double. And boy, that was a gritty match. I mean, talk to us about that battle with you guys between Burr and Kennedy.
That was tough. It's hot out here. These guys are tough. They hit the ball hard and well, and they're tall.
Yeah, no, it was a good match. It's what we expected. They've had a lot of good wins. I mean, they've won the Nationals, and they won the Nationals last year, so we knew it was going to be difficult. But Kevin played well all day long, and I want to thank him a lot for doing that. A lot of good teams.
What was key for you guys in that third game? The second game felt like Burr and Kennedy were starting to get some momentum. Third game, you guys were a little behind, came back. What did you feel like was key for you to be able to capture the gold?
I don't know, just not wanting to play that last game, you know. Pressure was on them really more. We were able to close it out in 3, so you don't want to push it to 4 for sure.
I thought what I found interesting about playing with Kevin today was it didn't matter which side we were on. We were switching all day long. There was a rhyme or reason every time we moved, so we'd stack 1 minute and then not stack the next minute, and so it kept it interesting, kept it fun.
All right, well, hey, I hear you guys got big plans tonight. Congratulations on the gold medal in the senior men's doubles.
Rodeo, baby!
Yeah!
I just wanted to say thanks to all my girls at home for letting Dad be here.
Family guy. Love it.